Welcome guys to another video in the channel. Today we have a F10 with a no crank, no start. So you're ready for diagnostic? So let's get into it. The first step is confirm the customer complaint. So we get into the car, we try to start it, and we saw that it was not even possible to turn on the ignition. So the customer complaint, it's confirmed. Next step, we get into the control unity diagram. We see that we have a lot of 3 control unities that are not responding to the rest of the car. So we advance with the fault codes reading, and we can see that we have a lot of fault codes in specific for all the glow element in the engine. And we have another one that they are telling us something important about the no cranking and no starting from the car. We have a fault engine starting during starter operation, relay sticking. So this is the principal fault code that maybe it's impeding the car from starting. Okay, this is one of the most important fault codes that we have on the control unity. Next step, we get into electric diagram from the starter, and we can see that we have the red line, it's the positive line, the 12 volts positive for the starter. We have this 50 line, that is the power command to activate the starter, okay? And we can see over there that we have a X13-2B. It's an intermediate connection that comes from the control unity that supply the starter for starting the car. We have intermediate connection, and we will test it later. So as you can see over there in the electric diagram, we have X13-2B, and we can see that in the engine compartment, we have it here, X13-2B, and now we start to measure over there to see if we have a power command to start the engine starter, okay? So we put the meter in the negative lead, and the positive lead went to the pin that we saw in the electric diagram. So in pin 2, the black wiring, okay? So we connect the meter, and we made the measurement during the cranking the car, okay, to see if we have voltage to start the engine. So this is what we are reading, and when we try to crank it, we have 11 volts. So it would be enough to start the engine. So, but the engine, it's not starting, it's not even cranking. So we definitely have a problem here, and we need to try to find it. Next step, we put the car on lift, and we saw that the engine started was not original. So this is something that the customer told to us before we start to work in the car. So he told us that he already had replaced the engine starter and the car was not starting. Okay, so like this in photo you can comprove. We see in red that it's not the original engine starter. So we start to measuring the voltage in the engine starter. So we put the negative lead in the positive from the battery to the engine starter, and the negative lead over there in the engine started ground. So it's the engine ground, okay? It's the same. We connect the multimeter over there, and we can see that we have 12 volts from the battery. So now let's see the voltage when we try to crank the car. And when we try to crank it, we have a big voltage drop over there, okay? So let's try to crank it one more time. And when we try to crank the car, we have only 1 volt. So this is our problem. This is why the engine, it's not even cranking, okay? We have a voltage drop in the engine starter. So now we need to try to find where is the problem, okay, and fix it. So the next step, we connect the negative lead from an extension cable. We get to an extension cable and we connect it to the negative lead, to the negative connection in the battery, okay? And we push all the wiring until the front of the car. So we connect it to the multimeter, to the positive lead in the multimeter, and we get the negative lead in the engine ground. So with this test, we can measure the voltage drop between the battery and the engine, okay? It's telling us that if we have a big difference between the battery and the engine, we will get there with this test, okay? And as you can see, now it's measuring 100 millivolts, okay? And when we try to crank it, because we will try it, but sometimes it's difficult only with one hand, we have a big voltage drop. So it's telling us that from the battery negative lead to the engine ground, we have a difference. The value from the difference is 11 volts. So we are losing everything. All the voltage from the battery we are losing to the engine. So the engine have no ground. Now, and just to, this is just like educational, it's just to showing to you guys that it's important to make the correct tests. We made the same test but with the battery disconnected, but now we are not measuring voltage, we are measuring resistance. And as you can see, from the battery to the engine ground, the meter is telling us that it's everything okay, so we don't have any problem. If we only look for the meter with this test, we tell that the car is completely fine. So we have 0.3 ohms from the negative lead in the battery to the engine, so it's okay, the resistance is okay. But the truth is it's not okay, we have a problem. So this is why it's so important to test the voltage with the circuit in load. So we need to activate the circuit to have current flowing and see where, if we really have a problem, okay? In this case, we made a jump from the chassis ground that we already know that it's okay to the engine ground, okay, with a jump cable for starting the cars, just to see if this is really our problem, okay? And as you can see, after this jump, we try to crank it and the engine start completely fine. Okay, have no sound the video, but you can see from the rotation in the engine that the engine started really fine and was zero problems. After that, we get into the mass cable from the chassis to the engine ground. It's not in the engine, it's in the gearbox, okay, the transfer case, and we saw this. So the cable was completely burned, okay, the connection in the transfer box was completely burned, and probably this is our problem for sure. So we clean it, the cable was visually was okay. So we cleaned the cable in the 2 points, okay? We clean the cable in the chassis connection and the transfer box connection, okay? As you can see here, it's also cleaned. So now we have the car completely original. So we took out the jump cable in the engine compartment, and we will try to crank the car again, but completely original. And as you can see, the car will start immediately. Even before the lights was coming in, the car was already started. So the problem is fixed, okay? And this is a problem in the engine ground. I hope you enjoyed the video. See you later, and please subscribe and get me your like, please. Thank you.